Sway.
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 In the morning.
In the morning.
In the morning.
Shake it, body.
Wake your fuck ass up. That crust out your eyes.
We have a guest joining us right now that I had the distinct pleasure of interviewing for the first time. He's not going to remember this. Maybe back in 1996 in San Francisco on the radio station. I started off on KMEL, good folks over there at KMEL.
Right.
David D.
Yeah, Davey D's over there. Well, he was over there.
Thank you.
You do recall then. And Joe Marshall and those guys were over there. And Big Von is over there running things now. And, man, I had a chance to sit and talk to one of the most impactful, influential leaders of our times, the one, the only Reverend Jesse Jackson, and he's joining us here today.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Such a joy to be. Wish we were not in New York, but otherwise it's a good season.
Yeah, right. Why is that? Because it's cold?
Because it's cold. And, with all the talk this year about injuries and protecting from injury, you're more prone to injury in inclement weather.
That's right.
And the Super Bowls are really family-friendly.
Yeah.
And so you in Tampa or Jacksonville or Miami or New Orleans, you can take your families around, but you can't be dragging kids around through this cold weather.
Nah, man, your fingers get cold. And
I know a lot of people now who have a ticket not going because they're not going to sit out there 7 hours in that cold and catch pneumonia as a trade-off.
Yeah. Wow. Way to put a damper on the Super Bowl.
Well, I think that the lesson should be learned. There's just a kind of general complaint, and it's not, in my opinion, only is that the price of ticket for the scalpers are going down because people don't want to sit out 7 hours in the cold weather.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I think it is a very exciting festival.
Yeah.
It's a family affair, and I come in part because my passion for the game. I mean, I played football through college. That was my only way to get through was a football scholarship.
What position did you play?
Play quarterback.
Quarterback?
But the other part, that excites me is, and I think cannot be left out, is the growth of America that makes this possible. The civil rights dimension of the Super Bowl. If we had not been successful with Dr. King's work and Reverend Joseph Lyron, without Abernathy, without their success, you couldn't have had the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons behind the cotton curtain.
Yeah.
You couldn't have had the Dallas Cowboys and Houston, Texas, the Miami Dolphins behind the cotton curtain. Those barriers came down. You couldn't have had the Olympics in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So our struggle brought those barriers down, and they must be put in. No owner made it possible to be a team in the South.
Yeah.
That was not the commissioner's job. That came from Dr. King and Lyndon Baines Johnson. The other thing, these players, the great players, are now marketing their talents, and then in the free agency market.
Yeah.
That's Curt Flood. That's not some agent. Curt Flood made that possible. We must never leave out that bit of history because it was his sacrifice of his whole career.
Yeah.
To break off of a plantation, declare he was a free man.
Yeah.
Using the abolition of slavery amendment. Now, having said that, as we grow, we see more people playing more different positions, more blacks and whites playing different positions on teams, all positions on teams, more multiracial culture. And so we're growing, but the struggle continues.
But let me ask you this. Maybe 80% of the NFL in terms of players is about our minority athletes, but there's a small percentage of people who have any minorities that have any ownership in the NFL.
That has to do with access to capital. And has access to do with lending. I mean, when the barriers came down the South from the Atlanta Falcons and Jerry Richardson all the way over to Jerry Jones, they were able to get access to the money to borrow. And that's why beyond ability, access to capital, industry, technology, deal flow matters very much. You have the whole new automotive industry in the South. That's because the barriers have come down. If they were still up, they would be in Detroit. They would be in Cleveland, in Cincinnati, in Dayton, Ohio, as the case may have been. I guess I want to impress upon people to appreciate just the value of the King holiday beyond a party day for blacks.
Yeah.
We changed the culture. When all these athletes, whether you're a hockey player, a basketball player, and you can negotiate free agency.
Yeah.
It's Curt Flood. Y'all know who Curt Flood is? You ought to know who he is.
I know.
I'm saying, once you know who Curt Flood. I mean, he was playing with the St. Louis Cardinals. They wanted to trade him against his will. He said, "I'm a free man. You can't do this to me." And he won that lawsuit. He lost his career in baseball, but he gained his dignity and immortality as a man.
Absolutely. Reverend Jesse Jackson has joined us. We're going to take your calls, 888-742-3345. When you look at rap music today, I know you have to consider it because it's one of the most effective means of reaching the youth, especially in disenfranchised environments. Do you feel like it's doing its job in terms of activism, or what can it do, if not to become more impactful?
Well, as a style of communications is just phenomenal. It's often the substance that comes under question. I remember when Dr. King was given his position against the Vietnam War, which was a very unpopular position. When Dr. King was killed, by the way, he was rejected by 55% of blacks, 72% of whites. I mean, that was a very unpopular position he took. And he was arguing that money should be going to war on poverty was going to the war in Vietnam. He was making that case. And people couldn't hear him. And then Marvin Gaye came up with what's going on.
Yeah.
And they got it because the artist and the culture shifted it. We struggled diligently to get the King holiday. Congressman John Conyers would send out there in front of the Washington Monument every year, January 15th, by a handful of people. Stephen Wonder picked up Happy Birthday, Martin Luther King, and it took off.
It made a difference.
So artists have the power to emancipate, or they have the power to be negative. And I think that our concern, there was a season where a lot of rap was very violent. I think that has subsided somewhat. But there's never a justification for self-denigration.
Yeah.
Music and art almost always be uplifting, inspiring and uplifting.
You know, I often argue about the N-word, nigga, and we play around with it a lot on this show. But I've never been an advocate of it based on what I felt when I was called a nigga in the 70s when I was born and when I was a kid. And people used to say it all the time. Now it's become, people argue that it's a term of endearment. Even some of our biggest rappers, biggest names in pop culture, and they're very tolerant of the word, especially in rap music. How do you feel about it?
They have the power to twist the language, but chitlins is chitlins.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And and the fact what should make it suspect is it's not universal. If I call you he can rap and he really can talk that talk. The white guy said you want to fight. The lack of universality is the inconsistency. It's the injustice in the matter. And when you give people license to degrade you, then when they do degrade you, you don't have the right to fight back.
Yeah.
So why arm your adversaries? I mean, why can't we have a language big enough to use descriptions of dignity?
Yeah. So the argument of we took that word and gave it a new meaning to give ourselves, to empower ourselves, you feel like that's a bogus argument?
It's bogus, and I've lived long enough to get the fun out of it. You know, I mean, he can run. You know, he can fight. I mean, Ian can hit that ball.
Yeah.
I understand how it kind of feels good. That's kind of cultural, but it is not uplifting culture. It's not enlightening culture. And we as a people would do well to. I remember when Michael Jackson, at the height of his career, said a demeaning description of Jewish people. Yeah. It made him take that record off the market right then, because they did not want to wrestle with degradation as a joke. They just would not play with degradation in that way. One time I was out in a concert, and one of our artists demanded all the white people say the N-word, and they were just saying it rather uncomfortably so. We don't need that to be popular.
Nah.
We don't need it to be successful. I mean, people buy the beat, they buy the rhythm, they accept the artist, and use that. When you consider that there are 2.5 million Americans in prison, 55% are African American, we got work to do. Two companies that make $1.5 billion a year off of prison collect telephone calls. We have work to do. In Chicago, there are 10,000 inmates under one roof. 5,000 of them are mentally disturbed on heavy dose of medicine. About 7,000 non-violent offenders who are in jail 6 months to 5 years waiting for trial at $50,000 a head a year. We have work to do. Verizon did a $62 billion B with an offering, a debt offering, and $300 million in fees. No black, no Latino, no woman got a dime of it. Yeah, we have
got
work
to do.
I mean, and so given the number of homicides and killings and stuff, so I would urge and appeal that we not degrade ourselves or women or anybody else, and if we do it, apologize for it and move on.
You know, President Barack Obama gave a State of the Union address yesterday, and you know, I remember when you ran for president. I wasn't old enough to vote yet, but I would have gave you my vote. I want to ask you this. In your opinion, how do you think he's doing? And, you know, it's always an argument, is he or is he not doing enough for minorities? What is your take on all that?
Well, he's doing well against odds. He came in, he promised to bring us out of the war in Iraq. But we're out, but the war continues. We shouldn't have gone in the first place. He campaigned against our going in, but he kept his word. He came in, the automotive industry had collapsed. It was like gone. Well, now it's number one again. Now he's fighting, running to get every American health care. There's a resistance to everybody having their health care by those who have health care.
Yeah.
There are those who make the case that they want health care, but they don't want Obamacare. But that's like wanting an omelet without the egg.
Yeah.
Because affordable health care is Obamacare.
Yeah.
So it means that there is some coded language in there in terms of attacking them. So I think against the odds, he's done a very credible job.
All right.
And we're having the Rainbow Push Wall Street Summit Conference here in New York, February 11 through 13, on the economics of our situation. I mean, 20,000 auto dealerships, 200 are black, 34,000 of the GM dealerships, 36 are African American. We have work to do.
We got work to do. Reverend Jesse Jackson is here. We got a couple callers on the line I want to take real quick. He has to go? All right. We're going to go to Jay in Miami.
Reverend Jesse Jackson, it's always a pleasure to speak to greatness. I do believe that you are a very good man for our society. My question to you, and recently I always heard about the Willie Lynch letter, but I never really read it. You know what I mean? Because very busy. I'm fairly a successful person. I'm 33 years old. Now, when I went on YouTube, there was actually an illustration where someone read it out, and there's a video that I would love to get that out to the black community so people can really understand why we're killing each other. Because that letter actually, it touched my heart because it really shows exactly why Chicago is the way it is and all these black communities and people are killing each other. And I would love to get that out. So like maybe a commercial.
Okay.
Well, our society has become much too violent, much too easy access to guns. There's a case in Florida where you are a police captain blows the guy's heart out, arguing because he's trying to send a text message to his child. Look at these killings in Colorado, the killings in Colorado. It's not just an ethnic thing.
Yeah, Sandy.
Most people kill people with whom they're close, that they know. I mean, most blacks kill blacks. Yeah. Most whites kill whites. Most Latinos kill Latinos. Most killings are domestic killings. But there's simply too many killings. And we must be against it no matter what shade it's in. Now, we got, back on schizophrenia, there's 4 or 5 people get killed and say, well, was it black, was it white? You ask that question because you know if it's black on white, it's election share time. If it's white on black, it's riot time. If it's black on black, it's Miller time.
It's Miller.
Well, you know, that's where we are.
It's Miller time.
It's like we've adjusted to that. And we should not adjust to anybody killing anybody. Man. That's the Dr. King standard.
Okay, black, white, or otherwise. Reverend Jesse Jackson, thank you very kindly for coming by, man. Who you got?
Swear I like this.
You like this? Anytime, you got to come hang out with us.
Oh, man, I like it.
All right, it is. Reverend Jesse Jackson, man.
Seahawk time.
Seahawk
time.
Marshawn
defense time.
Yeah, it is.
Well, you know, my heart is with the Seahawks. My head is with them. But, you know, only why we split this way because Peyton Manning just may be the best quarterback we've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's a playing coach.
Yeah.
He calls the play in 5 seconds. He comes out. He changed it according to the defense. The defense changed. He changed again and perfect the play. He's a playing coach, and so there's excitement about that. But then this year he's been on his back twice the whole season. He was doing setups. If the Seahawks break through the offensive line, which would be a lot, if that happens, it could change. But I'm going to put him for the underdog.
There he is. All right, man. Reverend Jesse Jackson, he's voting for Oakland. Marshawn Lynch.
It's Sway in the morning, only on Shade 45.